What you're about to hear, ladies and gentlemen, could shatter all of your preconceived notions about love, loyalty, and hip-hop royalty. Because just 24 hours ago, 50 Cent opened his mouth, and what he said wasn't just a confession. It was a funeral for the image that we all had of Remy Ma and Papoose. We were together before 50 said, calm, cold, certain. In that one sentence, he destroyed a marriage, a legacy, and a secret that had been kept hidden since 2006. Meanwhile, Papoose, the man who waited years while Remy sat behind bars, the man who showed her unwavering loyalty, when the internet is on fire, old footage is resurfacing. Mysterious gifts are backstage whispers that suddenly make too much sense, and the whole ugly truth is right here, right now. The internet thought it had seen it all: seeding scandals, secret babies, hidden marriages, but nothing, we mean nothing, could have prepared the culture for this when 50 Cent, the king of trolling and petty vengeance, dropped his people. Forgot how close Remy and I were until the host paused, leaned forward and asked, "Wait, are you serious?" And 50 just nodded calmly, cold and deadly. And suddenly, Twitter went into DEFCON 1. Old pictures of Remy and 50 backstage were reanalyzed, frame by frame, and that freestyle Remy did on G-Unit Radio in 2006 was now seen. This was the latest bombshell on a podcast, and no one was even paying attention to the entire hip-hop timeline imploding. He didn't blink, he didn't smirk, he just looked into the camera and said, "We were together before Papoose." In a hole, new light, and recall that award show moment where Papoose looked visibly irritated as 50 hugged Remy for a little too long. Yes, that one went viral again. But let's go back in time, because to fully comprehend how deeply this betrayal cuts, you have to go back to when 50 Cent was just off destroying Ja Rule's entire label with a mixtape and a glare. And Remy Ma was the first lady of Terror Squad, spinning bars that left male rappers shivering. Their chemistry was evident every time they shared a stage, and there were fireworks. But no one suspected anything, at least not aloud. Because by the time Remy landed in his entire career on hold to wait for the woman he loved, when she was finally released in 2014, their reunion was heartwarming, legendary, and subtly a rap love story that will live on for generations to come. Because what if the story we all believed was false? What if there was another man behind the scenes, one with receipts, one with a history, and one who had no fear at all? 50 Cent just exposed everything. And this is where it gets sinister. When we say sources, we mean people who shouldn't be talking, but who did say that Remy and 50 weren't just talking, but were actually deeply involved in things like matching watches, private hotel reservations, and a custom chain that 50 allegedly gave her that mysteriously disappeared just before her trial. When Remy claimed to have lost it, Papoose reportedly didn't question her and simply believed her. Fast forward to the present, and that same chain is back in circulation on eBay, listed by Anne. What happens when a man like Papoose, who sacrificed years of his life to prove his loyalty, discovers the truth? He simply cracks. That's exactly what viewers witnessed when he went live on Instagram just hours after 50's confession hit the shade room. He didn't say much. Didn't have to, and the look in his eyes said everything. Tears welled up, hands shook, and for the first time in his career, Papoose had no bars, no quotes, just pain. She told me it was just industry talk. An anonymous stylist who worked with Remy during her comeback era claims that there was constant tension during that time. The Pap would leave the room and 50 would arrive, feeling strange, like unfinished business. Now the timelines are blowing up with receipts, old tweets, backstage footage, and blurry screenshots from a flip phone that someone swears is of Remy and 50 kissing at a G-Unit after party. I thought 50 was trolling, but then I saw the messages. Wait, what messages do you already know? We did some research, and what we discovered, and let's say even Fat Joe had to step back. And just when you think it can't get worse, it does, because Remy tried to gaslight, deny everything, and spin the story as though it was just a misinterpreted friendship. However, nobody bought it this time, not even Papoose. And that's where the scandal really gets going, because when trust is broken, it's not always the shouting that hurts the most, but the silence, the long pauses between sentences, and the look on a man's face when he realizes that he gave his life to someone who gave their body to someone else. Emojis and playing a lot of men in the background of his gym stories. But 50 wasn't finished. He promised more proof was coming. And when he says more, you can be sure it's already loaded in the chamber. Just as fans were starting to wonder what else 50 had planned, a leaked voicemail purportedly from 2006, purportedly from Remy Ma, said, "You don't have to worry about Pat. He doesn't ask questions." The voice sounds identical, the tone desperate and emotional, and the timestamp on the metadata on October 12, 2006. 2 weeks before Remy was charged, as the audience was still processing the audio bomb, Papoose broke, betrayed, and finished playing. The faithful soldier moved away from the camera, grabbed a piece of paper, and held it up. It said, "DNA test pending. Wait for DNA test." At that point, the internet stopped discussing whether 50 Cent was lying, and instead asked, who is the father? Because that piece of paper did more than just shake fans, sent shockwaves through the entire industry. No one anticipated that it would go this far, and nobody believed Papoose would question the one item he kept, tighter than anything, in his own family. But when betrayal enters the conversation, everything becomes up for grabs. According to sources, the test isn't about his daughter with Remy, or even about one of the children they raised together. Rather, it's about an older person whose birth date coincides somewhat too closely with the alleged 2006 reunion between Remy and 50 Cent. Rumors are now circulating that Papoose had questions for years, but consistently ignored them out of loyalty, trust, and love. But everything began when that voicemail leaked. The one in which Remy allegedly said, "Pap, don't ask questions." The man who once went live to defend his queen is now ignoring calls from media outlets, declining interviews, and shutting down studio sessions. Meanwhile, Remy is playing defense like her life depends on it, posting inspirational quotes and resharing pictures of her family in an attempt to give the impression that the house isn't burning from the inside. But the public isn't buying it, because when the DNA rumor broke the timeline, fans started pulling up old interviews. One in particular, a 2015 breakfast show clip is receiving a lot of attention again. Remy is asked about the timeline of her relationship with Papoose, and she stammers awkwardly. People are zooming in and slowing it down, pointing out how she looks sideways when asked about the year 2006. And then there's the grainy but intense footage from a G-Unit afterparty, where Remy is seen whispering in her 50's ear, while holding what looks to be the same chain that's currently up for auction. In the background of that clip, a man who looks a lot like Papoose is leaving, but wait, it gets messier. Everyone knew something was going on between 50 and Remy, but it was hush-hush. No one wanted to deal with Papoose if it got out, dude. Was Sirius the guard who worked for both G-Unit and Fat Joe in the mid-2000s? Wrote in a private direct message to a hip-hop blog. The same guard, 50, claims that she once pulled up to Remy's hotel suite without warning and let him in. He stayed there for more than 3 hours without any camera crews or entourage, just the two of them. Fast forward to the present, and those peaceful evenings are now making headlines. Remy Ma hasn't addressed the new accusations directly, but fans have noted that she, just hours after the DNA test craze began to gain traction, she reportedly deleted an old Instagram post featuring a throwback photo of Papoose holding their child. She also reportedly canceled a scheduled podcast appearance, citing mental health issues. Coincidentally, Fat Joe, who had been strangely silent throughout the chaos, finally broke his silence in a mysterious Instagram live, saying that sometimes the people you die for are the ones who dig the grave. There was no explanation, no follow-up. Just a stare into the asterisk, since the truth is coming to light. Even 50 Cent is having a field day. He shared a clip from an old freestyle battle in which Remy raps, "I keep secrets better than my enemies can blink." Fans are now speculating that Fat Joe knew about Remy and 50 all along and that he protected her image by remaining silent out of respect for the squad. Captioned it with "no longer," then removed it. But not before every gossip blog took a screenshot of it within 15 minutes. Let's not we believe him when he says more receipts are coming, because, don't forget, this is 50, the man who got into a fight with his own son, who made fun of Floyd Mayweather for reading aloud. Sources close to his camp claim he has voicemails, old photos, text threads, and even a signed birthday card that Remy allegedly sent him in 2006. With the words, "Thanks for always having my back," and a heart. Additionally, that card is currently being authenticated. Meanwhile, Papoose is making subtle moves. According to someone in his inner circle, he recently booked a flight alone to Atlanta, the same city where his. It's no longer about loyalty. It's about clarity, closure, and possibly even custody. According to an insider, Papoose is thinking of filing for legal separation, but only after the DNA results are in. Until then, he's keeping quiet, keeping still and watching everything. What about Remy? She was spotted last night at a private dinner in Manhattan by herself, without Papoose or the media. Just her and her phone. The cousin lives with the same cousin who works in private investigation. And let's just say that cousin isn't on Instagram. This is where we are now. The couple, once thought to be unbreakable, is now unraveling in slow motion in real time with millions watching. And 50 Cent is still out there dropping cryptic posts, teasing that there's one more thing that will end this story for good. What could it be? Is there a video or a recorded call? Another person who knows the truth and is just waiting to step forward. One thing is certainly not over, because if the DNA, after weeks of speculation, silent glances, and online detective work from every corner of hip-hop Twitter, the DNA test results came back and the child Papoose believed was not his father. That sentence hit the internet like a meteor, and screenshots of the documents started circulating within seconds. The lab name was redacted, but the date and result weren't clear, bold, and impossible to ignore. The results won't just destroy a relationship. They'll rewrite an entire legacy. The man who had once wrapped up holding down his queen through prison walls now needed someone to hold him up. Sources claim that Papoose hasn't spoken to Remy directly since the outcome came in the form of no calls, messages, or explanations. Just silence and distance. She allegedly sent voice notes trying to frame it as confusion as a timing issue, even saying, "You are still there." And just like that, years of loyalty, sacrifice, and public devotion were shattered in a single sentence. The person who brought him up? But it didn't land, because for Papoose, this wasn't about biology. It was about betrayal. It was about being made to look like a fool in front of a world that once praised him as the gold standard for ride or die. Loyalty. And now that image is gone, not chipped, not cracked, gone. What's worse, the internet won't let it rest. Old interviews are being turned into meme reactions. That viral clip where Remy told Wendy Williams, "Pap is the only man I ever trusted." Now, 50 Cent's laugh is continuously layered on it. And speaking of 50, he tweeted a video of me screaming, "You are not the father," just hours after the DNA bomb was detonated, indicating that he didn't hesitate to spike the football, with a caption that reads, "I told you." But, according to legal insiders, things are now going beyond social media. Papoose has already contacted a lawyer to determine whether a formal statement is required to protect his name, finances, and reputation. They also claimed that I was being messy, and he followed up with a video of him drinking tea. The same people who once pumped her up in the comments are now leaking information to blogs that this wasn't a one-time mistake. and that the relationship with 50 lasted longer than anyone knew, that she had real feelings for him, and that she buried them to build her life with Papoose. One even claimed that she always said if the truth came out, she'd deny it to the grave. Remy is reportedly devastated, not only because of the outcome, but also because her inner circle is turning on her multiple stylists and assistants. She was in negotiations for a new reality show spin-off, but it is now dead in the water. Sponsor reportedly stated, "We can't align ourselves with someone whose narrative is shifting so violently." She is breaking brand deals and pulling out. What was once thought to be a redemption story, Remy, returning from prison and rebuilding. Her career while standing tall beside a faithful King A's now being rewritten as something completely different. It's not just betrayal, it's a PR relationship. A rebrand based on strategy and silence, and a queen who never truly left her first king. Joe went live once more, this time more bluntly, saying, "I love both of them, but lies don't stay buried forever. And when they come up, they don't knock. They kick the door in." Behind it all, people are talking about how obese Joe is. Fans are divided as well. Some believe Papoose should have realized that he was too good to be true and that no man could ride that hard for that long without being questioned. Others fiercely defend him, calling him the last real man, a man who gave his all and was stabbed in the back by the very person he built his life for. Still, others defend Remy, pointing out his mistakes. The industry itself is the real villain. Here, always waiting to destroy black love the moment it takes center stage. However, no one can deny that Papoose is no longer talking to blogs, fans, or Remy. This silence is the loudest part of this whole mess, because it means that he's done explaining, defending, and pretending. And according to one friend, he's getting ready to step away for a while, not disappear, but rebuild. He is reportedly stepping back from music and pausing on upcoming projects. Papoose will continue to support them privately, according to all sources, not because he has to, but because he did so from the start. And unlike some, he remembers everything he said. However, the damage is done. What once stood as hip-hop's most unbreakable love story is now dust and dust. Remy is still posting, but it feels different now, a throwback here. A quote there? "Nothing personal, nothing emotional, just noise," as if she's drowning in it. As if she knows the apology won't work this time. 50 Cent smirks and leaves. Remy Ma is left to clean up a mess that cannot be erased because screenshots on the internet never go out of style and the truth always surfaces, no matter how long it takes. Papoose famously remarked, "Loyalty is love with legs." It appears that it left as soon as the mask collapsed, and that concludes the tale. Or is it because, right when we thought everything had fallen apart, a new picture appeared on blogs showing 50 Cent grinning while standing outside a studio with a woman wearing sunglasses? The caption said nothing but a date next Friday. Isn't just about Papoose, Remy Ma, or even 50 Cent. It's about how quickly love turns into headlines. How one confession can destroy decades of trust, and how loyalty is going extinct. So we ask you, was Remy ever truly honest with Papoose? Did 50 speak up to expose the truth, or just to put gasoline on an old flame? Can a relationship survive after the receipts go public? Someone has another story to share. The truth is shattered. Like glass, the silence is louder than ever, and the man is now standing in the ruins of everything he believed in. This story is far from over. Trust us, the next chapter is coming, and you'll want to be here when it drops. This is the messiest love triangle on the internet, and it just went nuclear. If you're still shocked and trying to piece together the betrayal or are waiting to see what gets revealed next, please leave your thoughts in the comments section.